Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining today. Welcome to Plaid's Tech Talk series. Today, I'm joined by Ashley Curran, Director of Product at Betterment. We'll share insights on how to build an investment platform customers love. We're very excited to be partnering with Betterment, one of the most customer-centric and trusted platforms in the US. Before we start, just some housekeeping. You can use the Q&A widget at the bottom of the screen anytime to drop in your questions. We'll address those towards the end of the session. We'll also share a recording of the session via email following today's Tech Talk. So just to start with quick introductions, I'm Mehreen Iqbal. I'm an account manager here at Plaid. For those of you that aren't familiar, Plaid provides connectivity to financial accounts. We make it easy to establish a secure, ongoing connection to financial accounts in as little as 7 seconds. Ashley, I'll turn it over to you for an introduction as well.
Thanks, Mehreen. I'm Ashley Curran, and I'm a director of product here at Betterment. I've been here for about 3 years, and I lead teams that focus on kind of our core retail offerings for our direct-to-consumer line of business. If you are unfamiliar with Betterment, we are one of the earliest, dare I say, robo-advisors in the space, and we help our customers manage their money through guided investing and with a special focus on retirement planning. We offer a ton of automated tools and strategies that help everyone unlock their money's potential. And we also focus on customizing customers' accounts and getting access to personalized guidance along the way, which is really why we work with Plaid for all of our aggregation services. So we'll talk a lot more about that today.
Thanks, Ashley. So really quickly, we have a very exciting discussion ahead of us today. Wanted to quickly level set what to expect for today's Tech Talk. The goal of today's conversation is really for anyone who wants to launch an investment platform or accelerate the growth of an existing investment platform. You'll walk away from the discussion with deeper knowledge of industry best practices from Betterment by learning how to best onboard users, remove friction from account funding, and how to create ongoing engagement with your users. To start, Ashley, we'd love to get an overview of Betterment.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, we were one of the earliest players in this space. So we've been around since 2008. Betterment was sort of born out of the recession, and our first product went into market in 2010. So we really are focused on our core business offering, which is just investing, right? Giving customers the tools and the inspiration and support through our teams and through our online services to just become a better, more educated investor. We realized out of the way back in 2008, long before my time here, but the realization from that time and from that recession really kind of created a searing impact on the public opinion towards banks and the stock market in general. And many Americans were just left looking for an alternative way to manage their money, something that was less biased, that had more support. But at the time, most of the alternatives required personal financial advisors, and it can be quite costly to work with an advisor. So Betterment was really born out of the idea that it shouldn't have to cost an arm and a leg to have access to wealth management tools. That democratization of access to money management really became a core pillar of Betterment's over time. The way that we still embody that commitment, frankly, is to obsess over our customer experience. We keep our users at the forefront of our minds, and it continues to set us apart from both a UX perspective, but also in terms of the decisions we make, from every feature we decide to support in our product roadmap through how we work as a team. Our goal really is to help our customers make the most of their money with personalized investment recommendations, automated optimizations to keep their investments aligned with their priorities. And the more that customers can share with us about themselves and about their goals, the better our advice can be. So we're really happy that in the last decade plus of being in business, we've been able to serve over 700,000 customers and have over $33 billion in assets under management. If we move forward to the next slide, you can kind of get a sense of the customer experience that we offer at Betterment. So as I mentioned at the start, I focus on kind of our core B4C investing line. We call this our retail business. These screenshots that you're seeing here really represent that core customer journey where you come to Betterment, You open an account, you are able to tell us a little bit about the goals behind why you're here to invest. Is it with a certain goal in mind, like retirement or saving for a home? Or are you here just to generally grow your wealth? From there, you can select from multiple portfolios that are all managed, that have been pre-vetted by our team of experts in-house, or you can personalize something on your own as well. And from there, you basically now have these managed portfolios that are all based on low cost, diversified ETFs. And once you have that open and funded, Betterment offers tons of automation tools, like I've mentioned, around automated rebalancing. We automatically reinvest dividends for our customers. And some of our more fancy tools, I guess you could say, are our tax savings tools. We have tax loss harvesting that we bake into all of our accounts. You can choose to turn on tax coordination, which is effectively our version of asset allocation. And we also take pride in being able to show our customers a tax impact preview when they're making certain withdrawals or transactions, so that they can make a judgment call based off of the taxes they might incur from that transaction. So as the landscape has evolved inside of just fintech and personal financial management, Betterment takes this core customer journey and we share it with two other lines of business. We have our Betterment for Advisors business, which really is exactly what you're seeing here, but paired with offering the investing experience for advisors and their clients. So oftentimes independent advisors look for technical solutions like this so they can help guide their customers and their clients on a journey towards financial wealth. So Betterment for Advisors offers a really streamlined back office set of affairs, and we automate the portfolio management, which is something that the advisor would otherwise have to do on their own. Our other line of business is called Betterment at Work. So financial wellness as an employee benefit is a huge, huge trend that we're seeing in the marketplace today. And so we've actually had this line of business for a few years now. The core offering of Betterment at Work is offering a 401k with payroll integration for employers, so that as an employee, and some of you here may have access to this through your employer, you can have access to a Betterment 401k. From there, we're really trying to focus on taking the employees on a journey from having that 401k as kind of their opening product and offering them the fuller personalized retirement planning tools that Betterment's core offering provides. We also include things like student loan pay down and employee matches. And we really just help give employees this sense of control over their finances so they can thrive both at work and in life.
Thanks, Ashley, for that overview of your business. It's no surprise that, in the last few years, digital investment apps across the board have seen acceleration. We've seen more and more consumers opting into digital investment options since 2020. Last year, Plaid surveyed 4,000 consumers in the US and UK, and we learned that 88% of Americans are using digital finance as of 2021. And 9 out of 10 consumers plan to use digital finance apps post-pandemic. 76% even say digital finance helps reduce financial anxiety while allowing for more transparent and user-friendly options. And 80% say these apps integrate into their everyday lives. This is a massive opportunity for continued innovation in digital finance. So now is the time for innovative companies to find solutions to these everyday financial needs, whether it's opening an account, making a payment, setting financial goals, and saving for the future, and of course, trading across various asset classes. Pivoting back to Betterment, they've seen record growth in their retail business over the last few years. Between 2020 and 2021, Betterment saw more than 130% increase in investing net deposits. Ashley, can you share a little bit more about what you're observing and hearing from your users at Betterment?
Yes, I can once I get off mute. We are. So we stay very close to our customers in terms of surveys and research so that we feel like we can kind of respond to not just, we typically don't like to respond to like flash in the pan trends, but looking at the trends in the industry from a long-term vision. So one of the things that's held true over this entire lifespan of Betterment is, as I mentioned earlier, just the commitment to offering customers more choices when it comes to having diversified managed portfolios. Tons of people think that they want to do investing with their own guidance, but when they get into picking individual stocks and things like that, it can be quite overwhelming. So Betterment has always offered these managed portfolios. And one of the trends that we've seen in the last couple of years has really been having an element of personal choice and being in the driver's seat somewhat as you set up your investments and your financial affairs. We actually think that a lot of that is stemming from kind of the single stock trading craze that we saw in the last, 18 months or so, where people were actually in positions where they were controlling what they did and they were pushing buttons kind of on their computer for a change. So it gave people a taste of wanting to flex their kind of financial prowess, but they still turn to trusted advisors like Betterment for help setting up their financial plan and setting up their accounts for longevity as well. So we see today that when we are able to balance kind of our fiduciary advice that we have baked into just our commitment as an RIA and into all of the decisions and offerings we make, we try to pair that with those personalized insights so that customers feel like they have the ability to see themselves reflected in their accounts and in their choices. And a lot of that comes through in the portfolios that they're choosing to invest in. So when you come to Betterment, as I mentioned earlier, there's a few options. There's about, 8 options of investment portfolios that you can choose from. And one of our long-term portfolio options is what we call Betterment Core. It's our bread and butter. It's a great portfolio. And over time, we've heard from customers that they want kind of a different flavor. They want a themed portfolio. They wanted that element of choice in there. And so we've actually seen in the last, I think, 6 to 12 months, we've seen a 2 to 3 times growth in our non-core portfolio offerings, which is just really kind of providing us the good feedback that people say they want choices, we give them choices, and those choices soar. So it's kind of a nice feedback loop there. Specifically in those options of portfolios, we have a socially responsible investing portfolio and our newest portfolio, which is an innovative technology portfolio. Those two particularly have been just growing in popularity, which I think is a nice indicator that our customers and really the marketplace in general want to align their investments and where they put their money with their values and their interests. The thing to keep in mind too about Betterment is that there are people at the core of our business, right? We do obviously work with CFPs and PhDs and economists who help select these portfolios and manage them over time. There's also CFP advisors for certain customers who want to call in and work with a planner to ask some questions, maybe on a regular basis or just a one-off phone call. So keeping that human core to our technology, both in terms of the assets we offer and just the kind of environment we offer with that human touch is really important to us. And we see that reflected quite nicely in our customer experience as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and as we're talking about personal choice and investment trends, crypto is a huge interest for a lot of customers. And we see that reflected in our customer base as well. And so more of our customers are interested in opening a managed crypto portfolio since it is so new. They're interested in taking that first step, but they need a little extra support since it is maybe more full of questions than traditional investments tend to be. So we are looking at what it means to bring a managed crypto portfolio offering to market and just kind of having a whole new way of looking at money and serving our customers as their needs evolve over time.
Thanks, Ashley. Very excited to see how Betterment continues to expand its products based on the user observations you shared, especially as it relates to crypto. At Plaid, we work with over 6,000 customers, and we notice some common trends amongst customers that are creating seamless and engaging user experiences. I wanted to highlight 3 of these observations, and Ashley will provide specific examples on how Betterment's really at the forefront on how they're thinking about account aggregation and how to best leverage data from financial accounts. So, just around these 3 areas, the first one being account aggregation really speeds up funding and allows users to move money onto an app quickly. Second, account aggregation increases engagement and enables a longer-term relationship with a user. And third, account aggregation allows for personalized solutions that cater to a user's financial goals. And with that, Ashley, I'd love to hear what you've observed at Betterment.
Sure thing. So you nailed it in all of these points, but really with the first one around aggregation and speeding up funding. So it's obviously quite important to us that customers are able to not only open their Betterment accounts, but be able to fund them using their bank accounts. When we see customers using aggregation, we see that they are funding at a higher clip and more rapid pace than our customers who are not aggregating accounts, which is interesting to us. One of the biggest challenges we have, not just in allowing customers to fund their accounts, but in offering them advice and kind of seeing their full financial picture, is getting some of the data from those held away accounts, right? We don't expect everything that they have to be a Betterment account. It would be oh so fabulous, but we don't expect that, particularly when they first join us. So having the account funding workflows be streamlined and easy, and having those aggregation flows just feel like a part of Betterment has really improved our aggregation rates overall, which is great. So some of the learnings we've seen by making aggregation easy to use, both for funding purposes and just for informational gathering purposes, is that we see most of the aggregation happening within the first 30 days post sign up. If you're in this industry, this probably sounds familiar to you. I've seen this hold true over the past 8 years that I've worked in fintech. So when customers are joining and they're fully setting themselves up and getting onboarded, this is when they're most engaged. So we try to offer them the opportunities to connect those accounts and aggregate during that first 30-day window, since that seems to be the natural tendency during that time. In our B4C investing account holders, again, kind of our core customer base, customers who link with Plaid fund their accounts at a rate that's 58% higher than customers who have manual accounts linked. That's huge for us, right? Like it is very indicative of just the fact that aggregation helps funding happen more easily. So we see that number hold true over the years, which is great. And then also our customers who aggregate with Plaid fund and accounts on average of almost 2 days faster than customers who don't have Plaid aggregated accounts. The alternative, of course, being manual bank linking. So that takes time just to verify account access and ownership. And when you connect with Plaid instantly, it's instant. And so your ability to fund, we're delighted to see kind of holds true, where it speeds that up by almost 2 days, which is great. If we move forward to the next slide, not only is aggregation correlated with faster funding, but it's also correlated with engagement overall. So we have various metrics that we look at in terms of driving customer engagement. And often we look at recurring transactions, the number of funded accounts they have at Betterment, and our share of their entire financial wallet. So by encouraging our customers to aggregate those held away accounts, we see their engagement with more and more aspects of Betterment's product suite, which is great. Specifically, we've seen that our B4C customers who have a Plaid linked account are about 35% more likely to have a funded IRA account at Betterment. And this is important for two reasons. One, 35% more likely in any case is a great indicator, right? But IRAs specifically in the world of personal finance, this is lovely for an LTV reason, because IRAs are stickier funds, right? This is not transactional money that you come to depend on a day-to-day basis. It's meant to be set aside for the long term and grow over time. So we really, really love to see customers who have funded IRAs, because that typically means that they're planning on sticking around for a while, and those funds stay on our platform for a lot longer. So seeing a much higher funding rate in IRAs specifically has been a great just payback, I think, for all the work we've done to provide aggregation. B4C customers who also have a Plaid linked account have a higher median balance, a Betterment balance, that is 91% higher than our customers who don't have Plaid linked accounts. I want to clarify that this is not their net worth that we're talking about. It's not like they aggregated more accounts, so we see more of their net worth. This is simply saying if they've connected an account via Plaid, they have balances at Betterment that are 91% higher. So again, it's a clear line between if you are aggregating, looking at your whole financial picture under the Betterment umbrella, your balances are likely to be quite high, which is wonderful. And then lastly, aggregation really is core to our ability to provide these personalized solutions, right? So customers, like we've been saying, they they oftentimes either want to see their entire financial picture in one place, or when we explain that that's what they can do, really start to see the value of doing so. So by aggregating all of their held away accounts and all of their Betterment accounts in one place, we're able to offer them insights, recommendations on certain accounts they should open, some of the choices that they have inside of our application. So having that bird's eye view is really helpful for the customer because it gives them a position of information and keeps them in a position of knowledge as they kind of work through their financial choices with us. And it also allows us to more holistically look at their financial situation and offer more tailored recommendations. Specifically, we've seen that customers who have a Plaid linked account have an average goal count at Betterment that's about 36% higher than our non-Plaid using customers. At Betterment, we frame every financial account in terms of a goal. So you can think of this as having multiple accounts at Betterment. So 36% higher number of open accounts, which is lovely. We also rely quite a bit on the investment holdings data that comes back. If a customer aggregates an held away investing account, we're able to see the holdings data from Plaid, which helps us identify opportunities for ACATS eligible transfers, as well as just consolidation of assets, if that makes the most sense for the customer. So it's been nice to have that information and be able to offer that recommendation to them pretty immediately, which is a nice payback for the customer. As they do a thing, they aggregate, they immediately can see some value in having a response inside of their user experience. So overall, I think some of the things we've learned at Betterment when it comes to looking at just digital finance solutions, what works for our customer base, and keeping kind of aggregation at the forefront of it and why that's so important to us. Some of the things we've seen really is the advantage of keeping a team dedicated for aggregation. Many times we have connected with other customers of Plaid to see kind of best practices, ways that they've used the information, the different products. And time and again, what we feel fortunate to have learned early on at Betterment is to have a product design and engineering team that is focused on ongoing iterations and improvements with our aggregation services. So it is not a one-time project to set this up. It definitely takes initial efforts to get aggregation built into your platform. But from there, there's constantly evolved information and data that we can get access to over time. So having a team that's consistently looking at this space and iterating is definitely beneficial. The second learning we've come across really is that total net worth, while it's incredibly important to a lot of customers, and that's ultimately the needle we're helping them move over time, it's not everything. And when we go back and forth all the time, literally with A/B tests and experimenting and getting customer feedback about if we sort of highlight total net worth or if we highlight your Betterment balance first and foremost. And what we've seen really is that total net worth is more of a supporting piece of data in our experience. So it's wonderful to have, and it's obviously informed by their held away accounts and getting those connected. But focusing the customer's experience on the balances that are under your purview as their advisor or as their financial partner seems to be what they're after more, and also kind of helps keep the focus on what they can do within your ecosystem to help grow their total net worth. And then third, you got to talk about fraud, right? Proactively planning for fraud mitigation is something that will pay everyone back in dividends over and over again. It's not great to be in a position where there is all of a sudden fraudulent activity on your platform and you are in a reactive position, which, we've been there, but really taking the time to analyze your user experience for likely fraud opportunity areas and kind of relying on data, oftentimes from the aggregated accounts, to support a mitigation plan before bad actors strike is just, I can't say how beneficial that is and how much time and money, frankly, it will save you in your organization. So we've been really fortunate to work with Plaid in the last few months to kind of increase our oversight in this space by making use of some of the aggregated account balance data to help us do things like verify transactions, which puts us in a much better position in terms of fraud mitigation. So really overall, I think allowing for ease of use, allowing for teams to support the easy workflows when it comes to aggregation, so that you can show customers the total net worth and that you can use the data that you're getting from this user permissioned connected account to really help prevent things like fraud, is just the way forward to help make sure that everyone is internally and externally sort of supporting your goals as an organization.
Thanks, Ashley, for those insights. It's incredible to see the long-term relationships Betterment has built with over 700,000 users over the years. So very exciting, and we really appreciate you sharing some of the learnings for the audience here. I want to share a little bit about what Plaid does and how we power applications like Betterment. So Plaid builds infrastructure to make it easy for users to connect their financial accounts. Think about us as the plumbers of fintech. Today, Plaid works with over 12,000 financial institutions across US, Canada, UK, and Europe. We power over 6,000 applications, and we estimate that 1 in 4 US bank accounts is connected to Plaid. Plaid was founded on the principle that consumers have a right to their financial information, and they should decide where, how, and with whom it's shared. Plaid was built with control, security, and transparency in mind. And here's a quick demo of how Plaid works. As you can see here, we enable connectivity to a user's financial accounts by capturing consent, allowing them to select their financial institution, and then securely establishing a connection. We confirm that we made that connection and then let you and your product experience take over again. It's fast and easy for your users to securely connect. Plaid provides a range of products based on consumer permissioned access. We like to think about it as anything you can walk into a bank and get, we can do that securely, instantly, and digitally. For example, Plaid provides transaction data, account balances, and account holder information. When you partner with Plaid, you can expect an increase in customer acquisition and faster funding. You can also expect an increase in lifetime value, which creates customer loyalty and impacts your bottom line. I'll quickly recap what Ashley shared with us on what Betterment has observed in partnering with Plaid for their Betterment for Consumers business line. For acquisition and funding, what Betterment observed is users that open an investing account fund their account at a rate 58% higher than if they link manually. So Plaid, again, helps you be able to fund as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Additionally, that average time between account opening and funding is almost 2 days faster with Plaid versus that manual option. For lifetime value, Betterment users are 35% more likely to have a funded IRA account if they link an account via Plaid. And Betterment users are also, Betterment users with a Plaid linked account have a median balance that's 91% higher than those without. So Ashley, really appreciate you sharing some of those metrics with us and helping us understand the value that you see. In summary, if you're building an investment platform, here are our recommendations. First, evaluate your existing onboarding and funding flow to see where you can remove user friction through account linking. Second, evaluate engagement and find opportunities to drive more personalized insights for users through account aggregation. And lastly, reach out to Plaid. If you're an existing customer, reach out to your Plaid account manager, or if you're not currently using Plaid, reach out to us via the Plaid website. Either way, we'd love to brainstorm ways we can support your growth. Ashley and I will now pivot to Q&A and see some of the questions that the audience has submitted. Perfect. So maybe we can start with the initial question here for Ashley. When scaling to thousands of users, how do you manage customer support feedback? And can you talk about specific tools or resources you use to analyze this feedback to prioritize new features?
Yeah, absolutely. This is of paramount importance to us. If we're kind of working in a vacuum, we're not working. So keeping our customers close to us in terms of hearing from their support is huge. So there's a couple ways we do this on an ongoing basis. One, we have one of the most incredible customer support teams I have to say that I've ever worked with or interacted with as a customer myself. And so we rely on them quite a bit. They are the front lines, right? We are not in that brick and mortar location where our customers can come into us. So any feedback that we get, we work with those teams and those team leads to kind of see the themes of questions, comments, concerns that are coming up from our customers, whether that's through their email submissions or phone calls. So we take that quite a bit, which is helpful in terms of reinforcing some of our decisions, which is great, but also in terms of reporting bugs or things that are just, generally people seem to be calling in about this thing. They're all seemingly confused. Okay, well, we need to dive in there. Another thing we do is we have a very robust, small but mighty customer insights team. And they do kind of exactly what you think. They do send out our end of year survey as well as ongoing surveys. They do interviews and research, not only with Betterment customers, but also with those who are in our target market, or even sometimes folks who sit just outside of our market, so that we kind of are keeping a good vantage point, we hope, of trends in the industry, what customers and what potential customers are interested in. So we really value the feedback that we get from those teams, and we rely on it quite a bit in terms of setting ourselves up for new product development, and even kind of feature by feature as we talk about integrating like elements of choice that came directly out of customer feedback through that insights and research team. People said they wanted more options. We talked to them about what kinds of options they were interested in, and then our team did the work not only to provide those, but also to do some groundbreaking movement in the industry to help perpetuate and bring to market some new funds that even reflected some of those values that they were describing in the research. So that's kind of our feedback loop on a regular basis.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Ashley. I have another question for you. So is Betterment doing anything with private assets and making private investments available to its customers?
Never say never, but not right now. Not right now. We're serving mostly the masses, and in so doing, kind of focusing on publicly traded ETFs and things like that, because it seems to meet the customer need, frankly. So at the moment, nothing's on the roadmap for that.
I'm happy to take the next question. What is the main reason why customers don't add aggregation to the platform? Is it security, complexity, privacy? I have some thoughts here, and Ashley would love maybe to hear anything you have to add there as well. But as we talk to customers and applications that are evaluating aggregation, I think the questions that I typically get are like, how quickly can we do this? And like, do we have the right staffing and resourcing to be able to do this? I typically find that, more and more companies, even those that you wouldn't even think about using aggregation, are leaning into aggregation just because of the insights you get and the access you get to consumer permission data. So I would say today, the primary thing I observe is usually if teams aren't resourced or don't have, like as Ashley mentioned, a team or engineers that are kind of dedicated to building out that integration. But that is something we're hoping to continue to simplify and streamline on our side. So so hopefully that helps. Ashley, I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to add there.
No, I don't. I mean, I know that there's kind of some other questions around like why customers don't use it and like what the holdup is. And honestly, some of it is customer preference, right? Like we've been with Plaid for a number of years as their business has evolved. And so we've seen the available list of financial institutions and information that we can receive from those institutions grow over time. And so naturally our growth rate of customers who aggregate or use connected accounts to fund their Betterment accounts have grown as that available data grows as well. But there will always be some people who run into a certain situation or just have a preference to connect more manually, it's okay, right? It's not the end of the world, but we definitely try to rely on and promote the instant authentication and aggregation services, because it's actually a way for us to verify not just account details and account access, but owner verification of those accounts, which helps protect customers to ensure that people are not those who have stolen maybe their credentials, that they're unable to use their accounts if names don't match, things like that. So we really try to promote aggregation as a way to clarify the information for their benefit as well as ours.
Great. And I think that lends itself well to a question from the audience here. what are Betterment's largest challenges with keeping outside account aggregation data up to date? And how do you manage those challenges? And I know that's something we work on together from time to time. So would love your feedback here.
Yeah, all the time. Well, the good news is that in the past, we've had to kind of give customers the ability to, push refresh on some of these connected accounts, so that we can get up to date balance information. We've been very happy to be able to kind of not have to support that in our current experience, simply because, and yes, I'm paying lip service to Plaid, but it's very true. But Plaid does a much better job now than we've seen in the past with aggregation in terms of offering updates on those balances. So we really have not heard this from customers too much in the last 11 months that we've been on the newest kind of APIs that Plaid offers. But we do also, we bake in some of the natural kind of update points into some of our user experiences. So when we're talking about, anniversaries at Betterment, it's been a year, go ahead and review all of your accounts with Betterment. What's happening in those outside accounts? Does anything need to change? Anything you need to update us on? Same with retirement planning. When we're offering customers an insight into getting recommendations for their retirement specifically, we're asking them questions that oftentimes we have information about from their aggregated accounts, but we give them kind of the opportunity to refresh that data, add new accounts, maybe they've opened in the last year or so. So we kind of bake those update moments into just some of the natural milestones as customers stay with us over time.
Thanks, Ashley. There's another question here kind of on a similar topic. Do you find Plaid offers enough standardization and granularity in the aggregation features?
Yeah, if anything, I feel like we can't always keep up with all the offerings. It does help that we have a team that is mostly dedicated to continuing to work through anything in the aggregation space. But we find that there's a lot of granularity. I think one of the things I mentioned earlier was around the holdings data on those connected accounts that are investment accounts. That's hugely important for us, as customers can get a better view, and so can we, of the holdings that they have, not just inside of Betterment, but outside of Betterment. So we can kind of see if there's duplication of investment strategies, things like that. I think granularity, we're seeing more and more of that as the industry moves towards giving customers more options around sharing certain accounts with us through their aggregation, as opposed to just sharing all of their accounts at an institution. So that's kind of our next wave of updates that we're working through with Plaid at the moment.
Great. Another question kind of along similar lines. Ashley, can you share more about advantages to Betterment leveraging Plaid for aggregation versus needing to integrate with individual institutions?
Yes. Okay. So this goes back to keeping things streamlined for customers. If we were in a position where every single institution we wanted to allow customers to aggregate from on our platform had its own workflow, it would be, I can't imagine the headaches it would cause in terms of managing the platform, managing the user experience. And so the beauty of working with an aggregator like Plaid is that they leverage those relationships for us. So from a support perspective, we have much more insight into what we expect our customers to be seeing. We also have a great relationship with the Plaid support team and have access to information, so we can see if there are hiccups. We know enough about the expected user flow to see where and pinpoint kind of where the problems might be arising. So that is a huge win for us to kind of streamline the user experience, streamline our ability to support those experiences as well. So what's also interesting too is that there are some banks who are trying to control access to their data more and more over time. And so they're working with Plaid to have those custom APIs set up, those direct APIs and things like OAuth. And we naturally kind of support those through the Plaid link flow. So again, it's nice because we have to do a little bit of work to set those up, but then from there, it's all kind of one entry point, one exit point into and out of aggregation from the Betterment user experience.
Great. I'm happy to take a question around, could you tell us the best way Plaid has been supporting service-based agencies like accounting firms? That's a great question. That's actually a common use case that we see. So we typically do see instances where there might be a need for businesses to get, aggregation or incorporated aggregation. So a good example is an accounting firm that may need, a business or a user to link their accounts to be able to, do any sort of like accounting or tax, manage taxes or anything like that. And we do see that use case. So it would work very similarly, like Plaid will allow you to basically embed our UI into any existing accounting platforms or services that you provide. And then the user or that business could link their accounts, and then you'd be able to access, their transaction data as you need. So a question for Ashley. When growing an investing startup, what are the most important milestones to hit, and what's important to investors?
It's a really good question. I think it'll obviously depend a little bit on what you're offering and who your customers are, right? So I think number one, the milestone to hit is making sure you know those two things. You cannot serve everyone and you cannot please everyone all of the time, right? You can please some of the people some of the time. And so by first getting very, very clear about who your customer is, what they need, and then how you can serve them, I think that's paramount to any business, and particularly in the investing world when the options are so vast. So I think that's huge. First, making sure you have kind of the marketing insights and customer insights to support your roadmap. In terms of other milestones to hit, I'd say making sure that you have, we're seeing this a lot in even some of the questions, right? Customer hesitancy, customer security concerns. This is their money, right? This is the thing that they work very hard for every day, all day long. So we take that responsibility quite seriously. So in terms of what you can do to have good relationships with regulators, whether that's FINRA or the SEC, whoever kind of manages your neck of the woods, making sure that you have security offerings. If you can offer SIPC insurance on your investments, FDIC insurance on any cash or like banking platforms, these types of things feel like no-brainers, but they're the offerings that the traditional kind of bigger banks have just in place that I think customers take for granted. So making sure you have your house in order from a legal and sort of compliance standpoint, I'd say is huge. From there, I think being able to offer the best in class version of whatever it is you're after. So for us, that's having diversified managed portfolios. So we constantly are doing research and looking at projected returns to weather the storms of the market going up and down, and making sure that we can communicate that to our customers by focusing on having, I think the last point, the clearest user experience, right? Meeting your customers where they are in terms of education, in terms of explaining away some of the financial jargon that you have to be on the same page about, but really making it happen in a more digestible way.
Great. We have time for one more question. So I will ask you this, Ashley. So it sounds like Plaid is core to your customer experience and product. What does Plaid do that you, or does not do yet, that you wish they would?
What does Plaid not do that we wish you would? That's a great question. Honestly, I can't think of something that's like completely a gap. If anything, I think it's knowing how far to go with some of the offerings, right? We do a lot of things in-house, and most startups do, right? You're kind of scrappy, and we've kind of relied on our own muscle, I think, for quite a while. So I think understanding all that Plaid offers and making sure we're taking advantage of things in the best way possible is helpful. One thing that I think I would say this of any aggregator is just to confirm that getting more access to more data on a more regular basis, whether that's having more accurate holdings information, having the account ownership details, having the ability to authenticate more institutions, even if they are the smaller kind of long tail list of credit unions and stuff. we can only rely on Plaid when we can rely on Plaid. And so having a more robust set of data will always help us make the most use of everything that you guys offer.
Thanks, Ashley. That's very good feedback, and definitely one we can take back. In closing, thank you again for all your questions. I know we didn't get to everything, so we'll try to maybe tackle some of those offline. Thank you, everybody, for joining today's Tech Talk. Huge thank you to Ashley from the Betterment team. It's a pleasure partnering with you, and we appreciate the time you took to share your learnings and insights with everybody today. And we hope to continue the conversation and see you all very soon. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Maureen.
Thanks.